Hey there, I'm Jama, and over the past few years, I've become very interested in onomatology, the study of names. I've never really liked my name until I researched the meaning of it. My name means paradigm shifter, and I'd like to shift your paradigm by shining a light on onomatology and how it can potentially help you find your purpose, help you communicate better with others, or even both. In each episode, I ask someone 8 basic questions regarding their first name. So sit back, relax, and try to shift your paradigm with this next episode. On today's episode, I am very excited for this episode because I am reaching a huge milestone. It is episode 100, and I could not think of a better person to interview for my 100th episode because he played a vital role in me being able to talk about my passion on the Disrupt HR stage. So, welcome to the podcast, John.
Oh my gosh. I don't deserve any of this. All the credit and the glory goes to you. What an amazing accomplishment. I understand what it takes to put on a podcast, and I just love how you are making a difference and talking about something that people don't talk about that often. And I'm really excited to just be here with you and hopefully make you smile a little bit. I have a lot of things to make fun of myself and my name, and I'm a bit self-deprecating, if that's okay. And I apologize to any other Johns that are out there listening right now, but here we go. I'm all yours.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And, John, let the listeners know where you are podcasting from and just a little bit about yourself.
Awesome. I am actually podcasting from Bath, Ohio, small little township, technically in Akron proper. For those of you not aware of that, that is south of Cleveland, Ohio. We are quite snowy and cold at the moment, but I was born and raised in a small town just southwest of here, and then moved into Bath in the middle of 8th grade, which was a very traumatic moment. November 1st, 1987. If anybody wants to do the math there, you can tell that I'm 52 years old. I turned out to meet my wife on the school bus ride home the very first day of that new school. And I am also besides a husband, I am a father. I have a son, Will, who's 18, and I have a daughter, Mallory, who's just about to turn 16. I have spent my entire professional career serving the human resources and payroll community. That's how I was able and fortunate to get connected with you because of One Digital support of Disrupt HR, and we were pulling out for speakers. And I think Craig Gable made the recommendation that we had to have you on our stage to share your story. And as a support for that in human resources and payroll, I've worked for a large publicly traded company. I've worked in an executive search firm. And for the last 15 years, I've owned a firm, a professional services firm, very much focused in the HR technology and payroll space. And we're serving the human resource community to help them do their jobs better and allow them to not spend as much time in administrative tasks as sometimes they will if they don't have great HR tech, which I know Jama is a very passionate idea and work and project and idea for you. And so it's something that I'm super focused on, and our firm has been for a long time. In addition to that, I love to play golf, and I love to root for my Ohio and Cleveland sports teams, which at times is very difficult. And I have a very small but large network, small, close friends, large network of people in my community. And I do my best just to try to help and serve people. And I live my life by the grace of God. At the same time, I also am one that's all about making a positive impact. And everything I do in my life has that true north. How am I going to make the world a better place and leave it better than when I arrived? That was probably too long. I apologize to you, but you asked me the question and I answered it.
Oh, good. No, I love it. Absolutely love it. And I love what you do. And I like how you make people feel seen and comfortable. So thank you.
No, thank you. I appreciate you. And again, I was really marveled at your story. And I know when I interviewed you on my podcast, I didn't bring that part up. I own a firm named Willery that we serve the HR and payroll community, like I mentioned, but we also create a podcast and a book named HR Like a Boss. And you were an amazing guest on that. And we talked about a wide array of things. And I found you fascinating. And I think I guilted you into having me on this show. And I got lucky to be number 100. So all those things are fantastic. Thank you so much.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited for that one to come out. So let's go ahead and just jump into the first question, which is before you met me and you heard about my podcast about the meaning of your name, did you know what your name meant?
I actually did.
Okay. And
Is that
what do you
okay?
know?
Is that
Yeah.
okay
What
that I
does it
did?
mean?
Okay. That's a loaded question. I'm just going to tell you, and I know you're very much branded with your questions that you're going to ask, but
Mm-hmm.
my name biblically is John the Baptist, is a disciple of Jesus, and I know that I was named after him or by that because my parents, Michael and Fredrine, my mom had a very unique name, Fredrine. I wish she was alive. She'd be a great guest on your show.
Yeah.
Anyway, she was named after her dad, who was Frederick. He had 3 girls and wanted a boy and didn't get a boy, but named one of his daughters as close to Fred as he possibly could. That's not the answer to the question. You're asking me what is the meaning behind my name. Anyway, I have never really liked my name my entire life. And I'll explain to you why. I know that my name has that biblical connection. I know that my name has meaning behind it in my family. I know the technical title of it, I think, is God is gracious, is what John means if you Google it.
Mm-hmm.
But John also has a lot of other meanings in our world. It means a toilet, which ironically, about a week ago, I was at a golf tournament in Florida and I turned around the 9th hole and went to the 10th tee, and there was a area for you to go to the restroom and get a drink. And they called their toilet the John. I got to be reminded of that. I also, and I know that the reason why it's named John is there was a gentleman that invented the toilet named Sir John something or other, and they just called it the John. And
yeah.
as a kid, as you can imagine, if I end up in the bathroom with a bunch of other young boys at that age, they're going to make fun of me and the fact that John's going to the John. Yeah. Right, that was reason number 1. Number 2, this is probably worse. John is a customer of a prostitute. And you've heard that probably on a movie or two and whatnot. And I also know that if you find someone that's passed away, but we don't know the identification of that person, my name is the most generic name possible as John Doe. We've all felt and seen and heard that. And a John is also an easy mark. It's also something that is easy to fool, and it's very generic in a sense. And it also, the complexity of my name, in my opinion, and I've obviously been thinking about this for 52 years, maybe not all my entire life, but John with an H, so my name is spelled John. I'm not Jonathan. I've had to explain that, I don't know, probably 1,000 times, which is okay. Mm-hmm. And last but not least, John is easily turned into Johnny, which probably was the most annoying part about my name, other than the toilet part, because I didn't want to be called Johnny. But all of my friends call me that now, my close friends. And my brother, every time I see my brother Andy, who I will see not too long from now, he always yells out, Johnny! And so Johnny has a lot of Johnny anything. But you say Johnny and you can follow it up with anything. And I don't want this to come across the wrong way. I really don't. But I know my parents named me this, and I love them for it. And I know my last name of Bernadovich is very complicated. Having a easy to spell and memorable, maybe somewhat generic first name combined with a long-winded last name is probably a smart decision by my parents, but the last thing I want to be is generic. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah.
And there you go.
Yeah. Wow. Those are, I'm so glad that you brought all of that up because I actually didn't even think about some of those things until you said them. And then oh, yeah, makes sense. I've heard that before. So, yeah, I understand where you're coming from, why you may not like it. I get
It's
it.
not that I don't like it because I respect and care for, but I lost both of my parents in 2019 and 2020 shortly. It was about a year stretch between that,
Right.
their passing. And I respect the fact that naming a child is one of the most important things you do as a parent for sure. And I don't know. I try my best to embrace it. It obviously, as I'm sitting here in my therapy appointment with you talking about my first name, it kind of sounds like I'm dissing on it, and I probably am a bit. I just don't love all the aspects of it, and I kind of sort of wish it was a little bit different, which I think prepares me for one of your future questions. So I'm just going to pause and let you ask me more questions or follow ups.
Yeah, sure. Well, and I mean, I'm sure that there are a lot of people that feel the same way as you do because your name is historically one of the most popular English names ever, and it was peaking at number one until the 1920s. It settled in the top 20 to 30 range for boys in recent years. So I'm sure a lot of people feel your sentiment for sure.
I hope not. I hope they feel whatever they want to feel because it's their name, it's their life. I
Mhm.
just know that's part of your brand. And again, I don't get made fun of it anymore. When I'm in the restroom, no one cackles about John's in the John kind of thing. That doesn't happen. And I
Yeah.
actually quite enjoy being called Johnny. I hope there aren't random strangers who know me that are going to yell Johnny the next time they see me, because that's a term of endearment with my small network of friends. And I've
Hmm.
matured in that sense and embraced it. But I had a moment in my formative years between, let's call it 4 and 15 ish, in
Yeah.
that random grade school, middle school time, that my name all around, first and last, was ripe for banter and joking. And as you know, as a young person or a teenager, you want to be the furthest thing away from any sort of jokes. And I couldn't shed myself of that name. And I didn't want to also disrespect my parents or certainly my last name, because I know there's a lot that goes into that.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have any friends now named John in your life?
I have a few. I have a few. Yes.
I'm just curious, would you say that you are similar at all?
To them, in the sense of what they feel about their name, or just in our makeup and aura and general personality?
Yeah, I mean personality.
Hmm. There's two of them that come to mind right in the top. I haven't been asked that question ever. So thank you so much for that question.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily know. I've never talked to them about their name or our similar name, but I'm thinking of two in particular that I would call them, they're in my close circle. They're good, dear friends of mine.
Hmm.
I would say they're good men. One of them is one of my I'll call it my faith fellows,
Hmm.
and he and I do a lot of sharing of Bible verses and preacher sermons and other things that we see, and we're there for each other in that way. I think the biblicalness of my name is the thing I love the most about it. But yeah, I would say we are, but I don't know a lot of them, and I certainly don't know a lot of younger people that have the name John.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. And I know that every single person is raised in a completely unique situation. So I find that that question is, I almost like have a hard time asking that question because I'm like, I know all like somebody who has the same name, they're not all going to be the same, nature versus nurture and historical background and age and all that stuff. Like, so everybody is so uniquely and wonderfully made. Everyone is so complex and, unique. So that's why I guess in turn, that's why I do ask the question because I'm just curious. So I know a lot of people with like the same name, like Amy's. I know like 5 Amy's, and they all are the same. And I don't know, it's just like interesting to me. So
I do have a lot in common with John Bon Jovi. I've been told that many a time, but
I
I
love
didn't
it.
want to bring that up I think I just did. Whoops. Sorry.
I love it. Well, and back to the meaning of your name. So I found that it derives from Hebrew, like you said. It I found 3 meanings. God is gracious, God has shown favor, and Yahweh provides protection. So grace, favor, and protection. What do you think about those words?
Well, those are all wonderful, especially the God part. And to have the definition of my name having God in it, my guess is that that is unique. That
Mm,
is unique. That is not generic. That is not normal. This is the unique thing about, in my mind, my name is that my mom would tell people any chance that she could get that I was a gift. And the reason why I was a gift is, in her mind, my brother Tony's 10 years older than me. My sister Teresa's 8 years older than me. My brother Andy is 6 years older than me. And my parents were done having children. Now, I won't go into the long story my mom told me about how I was conceived and all that stuff, because I got that once when I was in my mid 30s from my mom. Thank you, Mom, for telling me that story. I didn't need that one. But I was not supposed to be on this earth in the spirit of my parents' plans, but God had a different plan. And
mm-hmm,
suggesting that God is gracious, I think my life is due to God. And in that sense, it's incredibly beautiful. And it's funny, as preparing for this podcast, I got to remember the stories that my mom would say. And it was a hard one for my wife to embrace
mm,
in the way that, as I got older and we had kids, and my mom would still tell the story as long as she could. As a 45-year-old man, she's telling my wife about how much of a gift it is to have me on this earth. And that felt nice, as moms can only do, in the
yeah.
sense of it. I, again, if I think of the word God and I think of the word grace or gracious, I mean, that is beautiful. That is meaningful. That is intentional. That makes people want to be around others that are gracious and graceful. And I hope that I make people feel that way. I try my best to do it in my own unique, funny, not so funny, bad dad joke times. But it 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 means something to me, the fact that my name is something that I've struggled with for a long time because of its genericness and its other meanings.
Mm-hmm.
But the story behind it is very meaningful in my family. And I get it. I know exactly why my parents named me this, and I wouldn't change it. Well, maybe I would, but I wouldn't change in the spirit of those reasons.
Yeah. So are you saying that your mom knew the meaning of that name and that's why she chose your name?
She never told me that. I don't know the answer to that question. I don't want to speak for her. I wish I could
Mm,
ask her.
mm,
But I know that my parents were very devoutly Catholic, and I was never told a story of them knowing a John that they really liked, or a character on television, or someone that they knew that carried the name John very well, that they felt comfortable with. My oldest brother Tony might know that story. I'll have to ask him. I haven't gone down that path in a long time,
mm-hmm,
but I know that there was intentionality around the biblical connection to it. I also know, with the last name Bernadovich, which has 11 different letters in it, so we're almost halfway through the alphabet with my last name. The funniest thing about my first name is when someone tries to pronounce my last name.
mm-hmm.
And here's what I would say, which is probably, I know, unique for you, because we talked about this on our show. No one has ever mispronounced my first name, and no one has ever correctly pronounced my last name on the first try. They're two opposite. One is so incredibly generic, and everybody knows it. And the other one is very unique. If you have my last name with the spelling of a V at the end, V-I-C-Z, Bernatovich, Bernatovic, you
Mhm.
are a blood relative to my father and his parents.
Oh.
Because when my grandparents came over, my grandfather, who I never met, he Americanized Bernatovich by changing the W-I-C-Z to a V. And there's a fair amount of Bernatowitzes in Erie, Pennsylvania. And from what I understand, and people who have been to Poland before, which is where our name comes from, there's an abundance of Bernatowitzes, but there's not any Bernatoviches that are not within the very close circle of my parents' offspring, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. What kind of feeling do you have when somebody mispronounces your last name?
It makes me smile. It gives me
Yeah.
empathy for them. I couldn't pronounce it if I had to do it the first time, having seen it.
Yeah.
I I've had the most fun with people not being able to pronounce my last name. I think I've gone this. It's like an opposite end of. I really don't love my first name, but my
Yeah.
last name is so unique, and you don't get a choice of what that is. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
I was born into my family, and that was going to be my last name. Now there was a choice for my first name, and you scratch your head sometimes. And I know why my parents named me that, obviously, but the most common thing that happens is when people announce me for a keynote presentation, or if I get introduced in front of a group, they come right over to me and I know exactly what they're going to ask. And they say, could you kindly pronounce your name for me? And I look at them deadpan and I say, it's John. And they laugh always because they're not talking about my first name. They're talking about my last name. And usually what I get is, this is John, long pause. It's just a very long pause. And then they stare at me
Oh.
because they're deer in the headlights. I've only had a few people get it very close to right the first time, and that's okay. But the weird part about it, when you look at it, it's spelled out phonetically. It
Yeah.
actually is kind of sort of how it's spelled. It's just a lot of letters, and it's a lot of them in a row, and a lot of different ones. But I have a ton of fun with my last name, and I'm super proud of it.
That's cool. Well, and have you ever had the thought cross your mind, I wish I had a different name?
Oh gosh, yes.
Yeah. So is there a name in particular that you really like that if you could easily just change it to that, what would it be?
Probably most of your guests probably have to think about that for a while. I've always wanted to be called Brett.
Brett?
Brett, because there was a really cool kid that I knew when I was younger. His name was Brett. And I just thought Brett Bernatovich had this cool sound to it.
Mhm.
And one year when we were on our family vacation, this topic came up. Somehow I think I was probably bemoaning about my name, and my parents were there. My mom was cooking and probably half paying attention and half under her breath telling me to stop talking about that because I love your name and I love you. But then my oldest niece, Millie, she said, "Oh, well, I'll call you Uncle Brett from now on." And now she still does. She calls me Uncle Brett, which is really great. She'll call me
Love
Uncle
it.
John occasionally as well, but she'll
Yeah.
call me Uncle Brett. And that's the name that if I had my choice. Now, I don't know how many Bretts there are. You have to do your research. What does Brett mean? You're probably going to do that right now and tell me how popular of a name Brett
Right.
is. But again, I would be compared to Brett Michaels. Is that worse than John Bon Jovi? I think so. I'm pretty sure, right? Like, anyway, I'm going to stop talking. You tell me what you found out. What does Brett mean?
Brett means it's referring to somebody from Brittany, a region of France. So dweller by the bridge. You'd have to do a lot of like digging and interpretation because I guess it symbolizes like strength and heritage. There's a few other meanings. So that
I
was a
actually
little.
think that's where the toilet was invented, somewhere in France. Wouldn't that be funny?
I love it. Oh, your comedic timing is Genius. I love it. Well, and I did want to say one thing because earlier on in the conversation, you brought up John the Baptist, and that I, the first John that I thought of was the one that Jesus loved, like, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, that one. So I don't know. I was doing a Bible study on that John, and it's interesting, like just digging deeper into why, like it was always referred as like the disciple who Jesus loved. So I think that would be
Yeah.
a neat way to just kind of focus on a positive thing in your name.
No, no, and I am so thankful of your insight. I'm so thankful for your perspective. I tongue in cheek this, I think, a bit. It's
Yeah,
again incredibly self-deprecating. It's just been something, it probably really stems from those early years of the mockery and being made fun of. And I just have embraced it, I guess, in that self-deprecating way. And I I am so thankful that I have my name. And I'm
yeah,
so thankful that I'm on this earth. And if fighting in my mind about my first name is the one of the great challenges of my life, I think I'm doing okay.
yeah, for sure. Well, and I can relate to how you feel and how you have felt in the past because I didn't like my name because so many people mispronounced it and it's spelled phonetically. So I think because your name is so tied to you and you see it every day and you use it every day, and if people can't get it right or if there's a negative connotation to it, I can totally see where you're coming from. So I get it.
I just thought for today's show too, I'm not going to sit here and make up stories and tell you how much I love it. And
Yeah.
I wanted to make you laugh. I think I did once or twice, and luckily that was happening because it brings me joy. And that's
Yeah.
why I also think in my mind I have this love hate relationship with my first and last name. It's just very unique. I don't get at all upset by I should hate my last name when I think of it because it's so hard and difficult to pronounce and no one ever gets it right. I just have this jaded, weird view
Because
of
your
it.
first name is more tied to you.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I I did in college, I got a nickname of Bernie, which that was pretty cool. But then Weekend at Bernie's came out and it's a dead guy. And come on, I can't catch a break with these names. That's why I went with Brett. And now Brett means some random thing in France. Now that I got to come with something else. But my niece would be so disappointed. I'm not gonna rebrand my rebrand. How's that? That would be bad.
Yeah, no, no, no time for that. All right, my second to last question. And I know you talked about it near the beginning of our conversation, but I want to go a little deeper. It's my favorite question. So, do you think that the meaning of your name, God is gracious, or God has shown favor, or Yahweh provides protection, do you think that that has any relevance on the way that you act or the way that you see the world around you? And if so, how?
Undoubtedly, yes, no doubt. I think one of the things that have happened to me in my life by the loss of my parents, I mentioned that a couple times, you can probably tell was a big deal for me, is they had this unconditional love for me. My mom never got mad at me for making fun of my name, even though she gave it to me. She was always gracious, kind, and caring. And I mentioned this in my introduction of who I was, this idea of trying to make an impact because that's what my parents did. And I do recognize the fact that in my own, not super arrogant, not any way trying to be self promoting, but modest, I do believe that my life is a gift and that the fact that I'm on this earth is something that wasn't in the plan, at least for my parents. And that part has caused me to look at the things that happen around me that I necessarily didn't think should happen, or I wish they would have happened a different way, and understand the meaning behind that. God is in control, and I just try to walk with Jesus in my life the best that I can. I don't do it all the time. We're all sinners, and I completely appreciate that. But the way that my name came to be and the meaning behind it, I try to make the most of the chance that God has given me. It's the simplest way for me to put it.
I love that. And I want to say first, I'm really sorry about the loss of your parents. And I'm glad that you mentioned that, because part of like a sliver of why I'm doing this podcast, just a tiny sliver, is to remind people or give people an idea to connect with their parents and ask them about the meaning of their names. Because there have been a handful of people in the 100 people I've interviewed that said they no longer have the ability to ask their parents. But then there were a lot of people who said, this made me call up my mom or call up my dad and have the conversation. I never had this conversation. And especially, I know a lot of people my age that have estranged relationships with their parents. And I think that this is one window of opportunity to open up a new chapter with your parents if you have them, if you're blessed to have them. So thank you for bringing that up.
That's beautiful. Keep doing it. I can't wait for you to get to episode 200. And it's going to be 100 times more enjoyable and funnier than this one. I will say this about that is you gave me a gift by being able to remember my parents and try to think about what their answer was. And although I couldn't call them, it will, ironically, tomorrow I'll be together with my siblings, all of us, for the first time in over 5 years. We're going to be at a family event, and my brother moved back from the West Coast, and we just haven't been able to all get together for a wide range of reasons. And I'm going to ask them at lunch tomorrow, hey, I was on this really cool podcast with this wonderful host. And you know why mom and dad named you, Andy, Treese, Tony, and me, John? And will give us something to remember them by. And that if you're unfortunate enough to not be able to have your parents on this earth, and you are estranged with them while they're alive, I cannot encourage you enough to try to figure that out.
I love that. I hope your meeting with your family goes well.
I know it will.
Awesome. All right. So my last question. When I was designing my podcast before I launched it, I wanted to know what books were saying about names being changed. And I thought, why not start with the best-selling book of all time, which happens to be the Bible. There's actually quite a few people where the Bible mentions their names were changed. A few examples are Sarai to Sarah, Abram to Abraham, Saul to Paul. And I was just wondering what your opinion was on what is the significance of the Bible mentioning the fact that these names were changed?
I would say that the fact that those names were changed is in some sense rewriting some form of history. In a sense, it's also in some form maybe making them something that the modern person at the time wanted it to be. And I think it's a reflection of our society. We've seen that a lot recently about history being rewritten or unwritten. And I think it's a very strong indicator and proof that there's only one perfect being, and we all try to reinvent or rewrite things in our life. And to think that whoever was the person that decided to make those changes, whether they were right or wrong, they thought that they had the authority to do so, and they did. But in the end, It's a simple fact that God's in charge. And if we don't accept that, then we end up doing wildly crazy and good things. And I just I just think that the more we give glory to God, the more that we embrace He's in control, the more that we can live our life to the fullest and not try to manufacture things that aren't meant to be the way they're supposed to be.
Mm, I love that perspective. You kind of shifted my paradigm a little bit with that one. I like that.
I mean, I know you're a woman of faith. I know we talked about this before, and probably part of the reason why you have this podcast is based upon that and the meaning behind a name. And you ask a bunch of indirect or direct in the last one, faith-based questions, and you encourage people maybe indirectly or directly to reconnect with their parents where they probably got a lot of their faith-based guidance from. And it all is a general evolution. But at the end of the day, I mean, I'll end my comments on this subject with the fact that gone through a lot of unique challenges and successes and failures and wins and losses. I'll never forget sitting in church one day. I have a very short attention span. There's a certain part of the sermon after the sermon where they give the churchgoers a chance to say a prayer for others, and for some reason it just doesn't keep my attention because the pastor is so fantastic. Not that I don't care about the other people's challenges or successes. It's just a chance for me to read the Bible. And one day I just went right to a section of Luke, and Luke 22:42. I will never get a tattoo. I'm just not one of those kind of guys. It's not my thing. But for those that do it, Godspeed. But if I ever did get a tattoo, it would be Luke 22:42. Not my will, but yours be done.
Mm,
And that's my guiding light for everything that happens in my life. And the moment that I actually accepted and realized that fact, it made my life so much simpler, so much simpler.
mm, I love that. That's awesome. Thank you for bringing that verse to my attention, and it's a powerful one.
Changed my life.
Well, those are all the questions that I have. Do you have any questions for me?
What's been the best part for you in all this 100 episodes? How are you better as a result of putting yourself out there in the spirit of encouraging others to think about something they probably don't think about that often unless they're named John?
Yeah. That's a great question. I think it's all about connection and meeting new people. And this podcast has given me a really great way to do that, a good opportunity to just, and it's somewhat of a nice neutral starting point because if you say, "Oh, I like your name. Tell me, do you know what it means?" Like it's not like you're talking about politics or religion. It's just like a nice way to just start meeting somebody. And all of the new people that I have met, I've interviewed people from 10 different countries, and I've learned so much from each person, and it has helped keep me, I don't want to use the word flexible. Oh, what's a better word? I don't know. It's helped keep me be open-minded. So I think that's the best thing.
Hmm. And I'm sure you've thought of this. Have you asked yourself and answered all the questions you ask your guests?
Oh, for me?
Yes.
Yeah,
In your name.
I think it's like one of the first episodes. I have an introduction episode and then I have somebody interview me, and I have an episode on it.
Perfect. I
Yeah.
apologize. I haven't listened to that. What is your preferred name if it wasn't?
Oh, if I could change my name,
Yes, if you could change your name, what would it be?
it would be Audrey. Audrey
Odd.
Hepburn.
Oh, there you
As you
go.
can see in the background.
Oh, duh. I could see that. I apologize.
No, well, and like this is audio only on the podcast, but I would choose the name Audrey for a couple different meanings or a couple different reasons. The first reason is I think it's beautiful the way it looks visually. Second, I love the meaning, which means noble strength. And I absolutely love the character of Audrey Hepburn in all of her movies. She just is so poised and refined and but has a lot of depth to her. So I think I would rename myself Audrey if I could, but I like my name and I like the meaning now, so I would keep it.
I think you're carrying on like an Audrey, that's for sure. You have a resemblance to her.
Oh
So
wow, thanks.
keep it going. Keep it going.
I wish.
That's amazing. No, I will just simply, I won't keep putting you on the spot, but it is as a podcast host always unique to be on the other end. And I know you got to have that experience in this podcast swap that we did,
Yeah.
meaning of my name and HR like a boss. But the most interesting part is you share a similar sentiment to me. I've been blessed to interview up to 200 people on my show, and I cannot tell you how much I've learned in that experience. And the
Yeah.
fact that a podcast is such a unique way for you to have a conversation that you would never have, ever. You might ask a few questions about someone's name in the spirit of a lunch meeting or you're at a conference and whatnot, but it's such a unique platform. And I hope that your listeners have learned a thing or two and maybe reached out to their parents to ask them, even if they haven't been a guest on your show. And I applaud you for the work you're doing. Keep it up. I'm thankful to have you as a part of my tribe and my network and my community. Thank you.
Thank you so much.